Hello, everybody. I'm Arwen, the professional joy seeker.
Hello, and I'm Ember Raven, the Big Fat Witch. How are you guys?
We're here for another Witchy Women Wednesday. Now, we cannot promise that we'll be doing this every Wednesday because
No.
it's time consuming. I love talking to my girl, but
Yes, but we're both busy as
and,
hell.
and we're split up by several time zones right now, which makes it really crazy. Because she'll be like, "Sure, I can do that at, you know, 9 o'clock my time." And I'm like, "Well, I can't. That's my time." And but
Yeah.
it's not working for us. So I'm really excited that y'all are loving us. I want to tell you that I'm going to be stepping out on Ember, but don't tell her. I'm doing a chat with somebody else on Monday.
Who? I must know.
Oh, you heard me? Damn this
I
program.
I heard.
Well, she might live in Texas. She might be a headstone ballerina.
Oh, I am excited about that.
Me too. Lots of people have been asking me to talk to Lady Grave Dancer, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Fun. I love that.
Yay!
I love. I love. I'm going to say this. I have seen more crosstalk between witches in the last year than I've been on YouTube for a while now. I have seen more uh, Skype sessions. I've seen more, big, powerful witches getting together and having these interviews with each other. Like, that is powerful because we're not isolated.
Yeah, and we're allowing each other's voices, and that's what I really like. I just
Yes.
watched Creole Witch and Lady Grave Dancer last week. They actually had a chat the same night we did.
Yes.
And I'm watching this adorable witch talk to Lady Grave Dancer, and I'm like typing,
He has the best smile ever, does he
and
not?
I'm like, can I have him? Can I adopt him? And then I realize who it is. Well, I'm used to seeing his videos where he's doing with the lockers behind him, and he
Yes.
was in a different room. So I was like, who is he? He's so cute. And then because I don't do, funny thing about Arwen, I don't do face recognition very well.
Mm.
I have to know you for a while, and see you a lot to really be able to know who you are visually. So people get upset. They meet me and they're like, "Well, you just met." Sorry.
Arwen is Arwen is famous in some circles for introducing herself to people multiple times over the course of the same night, and they're looking at her like, "Yes, we met 10 minutes ago." So,
Sorry.
yes,
Yeah, or renaming people.
yes.
Dyke in a
Well, you
box. Anybody?
you have got several names yourself, though. Like sometimes we call Arwen to Arwen to Arwen.
Yeah, Junie swears it's because I misspelled the. I think she's wrong. I never misspell anything. I'm perfect.
Junie does bestoweth special nicknames. I am called Cab, which is CAB, crazy ass bitch. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, she gives out nicknames freely. You
She's
guys, oh, sorry, my ADD was kicking in. I wanted to tell people what we were talking about because I am crazy excited about
Yes.
this.
Let's
So
do this because we need to get on topic.
let's get on it. So we asked everybody last week, hey, come to us with your suggestions because really anything is great. We'll talk about anything. And someone asked us to talk about witchy burnout. Dun dun dun. You spirituality burnout. You're not really feeling witchery. You're not really feeling like doing any work. Woo!
It's a burnt match.
Burnt match. She is, oh my God, she's a goober, you guys. And I'm excited about this topic because I have absolutely experienced this. And let's expand it just a tiny bit. Let's say not only burnout, but let's just say times in your life when you can't, because hello, I'm going through that right now. You can't really practice the way you want. So hit it.
Okay, I will tell you that when I first started, I was in situations where practicing wasn't a big deal. I had people to practice with. I had, women's circles here, covens there. I had lots and lots and lots of ability to practice. When I lived in Georgia, my partner was non-pagan, my husband, my first husband, but he's a doll. It did not upset him. He actually, I think, came to a couple of rituals. But, I had a group to practice with. But when I left there, I kind of went, ugh, for a while. And part of it was I missed my family. I missed my coven. You know, I had in my teaching coven, there were just three others, and I'm still good friends with all of them. One of them I don't talk to as much, but of the other two, I'm still in pretty close contact with them. So, hi Luna, hi Pixie. Um, but it was hard for me because I was not used to being a solitary witch.
Mm. That's a really good so it's like, it almost sounds like energy drain. It almost sounds like the wind out of your sails. It's that thing where you've been really ensconced, and this can happen with anything. This can happen with water skiing, going to school. This can happen with anything that you're very excited about, that you really love doing. You do it a whole lot. And then when you're out of that situation or you're not doing it as much, it's almost like you're just like, and you do kind of get a little bit depressed
Yeah.
about it because you miss it. And sometimes you don't even know why.
Yeah, and I didn't identify it. I didn't identify what was going on. And I actually, from Georgia, I went to live in Salt Lake City for a while. And I used to drive back and forth to Denver. And in Denver, my partner there, he and his other partner, we had a group that would meet on Sundays. Well, I didn't get to stay because I was driving back on Sundays.
Mm.
It wasn't until I got there and we established that group we called it Sunday at Mother's, because his last name is Tucker, and in the military, his nickname was Mother.
Oh, Lord. Ah!
So we had Sunday at Mother's, and we had these big potlucks, and we do great big ritual, and lots of people came over. And Denver's also where I got involved with Church of Wicca and Old Lore, or College of Wicca and Old Lore, which I don't think is going anymore. But it was a teaching place, and it wasn't a coven. It didn't purport to be teaching any one thing. It just kind of taught magical stuff.
Maybe it would be let's start at the beginning. How would someone know? Let's talk about a couple of ways in which someone would know that they're experiencing magical burnout.
Um, when you look at your calendar and you see it's full moon the next day and think, fuck.
Yes. That feeling of kind of feeling resentful that it's like time to do your work and you're just like, you're not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, sometimes it can feel, it's that whole half-assed feeling, like your just heart is not in it. Maybe a Sabbath passes and you don't even realize it.
That actually happened to me.
That's happened to me.
You're just phoning it in, and I stopped talking to them. I used to have conversations all the time. I just stopped talking to them. I'm back talking now. But it was like, I knew they were there. It wasn't that I didn't have any great big, you let my cat die kind of break with them. And I don't mean to mock anybody whose cat has died. I've lost two this year. And it's been very hard. So
And you would never do that anyway. That's not you.
I wouldn't.
So.
But, and I guess, and you look at your stuff, and you don't want to unpack your stuff because, well, you've got to do something with it. And you let clutter take over. And, you begin to feel overwhelmed and then you pull things in. It's almost like you start piling blankets up. You build a blanket for it and keep putting blankets on until you can't get out. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's actually a great lead in because I've kind of wondered sometimes, and I certainly experienced this. So, everybody knows I've moved this year. And I had to go through the process of packing up my witchy space. And, my witchy room at my house was a large room. And you've been in that room.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff in there, floor to ceiling. There was a lot of storage. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in there. So when I got it, when I got it to my condo and started kind of going through everything, the room the condo has generous rooms. But the room I put everything in was probably about half the size of my witchy space at the house. And it was nice. It had a great big closet. I loved it, nice and clean. But I had so much stuff that I felt so overwhelmed with finding storage, where to put it, what did I have? And then I would open boxes and I didn't have proper furniture to put things in. So there were just like piles of crap on the floor. And, it burned me out looking at all that stuff because I started having feelings of, wow, I have way too much stuff. I went through and looked at my little incense problem, and you guys know that I love me some incense. I had more incense than a person could burn in a lifetime. And I looked at all that and I thought, okay, I can only burn 1 or 2 incense sticks at a time without it messing with my allergies. So I've been cutting that stuff loose. And I have noticed that as I've unpacked and cut things loose and rehomed and sold and gifted and things like that, I have noticed that my fire was starting to warm back up as I made room for the practice. Because before that, my witchery was all in boxes.
Yeah.
It wasn't accessible. It was almost like I caused my own burnout by just having too much crap.
Yeah.
You know, or not taking care of it in a way that was respectful to it.
I think that has a big piece of it. When I lived in Louisiana, I don't think we knew each other at that point. My partner and I were both practicing pagans, and we had a 3-bedroom home. We rented a 3-bedroom home down in Laplace, Louisiana. One of those rooms, when you walked in, it had 5 altars. It had an altar in the east wall, altar on the south, and a center altar. It was magical.
Literally.
Yeah, it was wonderful. You actually couldn't go in there without my cat Carmen. She would come and take her little paw into the door and yank it if you went in there without her, because she was my familiar, so she demanded on being inside.
Yeah.
But and I went from there, then I went to other places, and now I'm in this situation where I don't really have an altar space yet. I'm at a desk that has 2 levels, and so I've kind of, if you look at my this week's tarot scopes, you can see the background where I've kind of set up a mini altar. But it's where my monitor is, so it doesn't stay there, because when I'm working, some of that's got to go. It's got to get out of my way. But when I feel burned out, what do you do for fixing it? What is we've talked about decluttering, and I think the decluttering is energetic.
Yes.
Because for me, I'm laughing about you. Do you know what's in here?
I do.
Incense, nothing but incense. This, I think maybe, I was thinking, do I want a signature incense or I want just one that I burn? This shit is the bomb.
That is one of my absolute all-time favorites. It's amazing. Murphy Hunter loves that one too.
I went bonkers on it, and then I was burning some Nadia, some Lady Jane's Bewitchery, and wonderful stuff. It's really beautiful scent. So, but I'm trying to think, do I need 150 incenses? Not really.
I think one of the things that burnout can happen for a lot of different reasons. And I think the way in which you clean it up or get re-energized kind of depends on how it happened for you. So you have your emotional burnout, where maybe you're going through, crap in your life, a divorce, or you're going through child custody issues or a bankruptcy, and your emotional energy is just depleted. You have got nothing for anybody.
Yeah.
And then you have your physical burnout, which I kind of attribute to cluttery situations. That can be a physical burnout because you don't want to deal with the physical block to your practice. If you're physically blocked from your altar, physically blocked from your tools, physically blocked from your books. And look, let's go ahead and say right up front, you don't need tools to practice. You don't need anything. You got 2 hands, you got eyeballs, you got a mouth. You don't need that. You can get a pencil and paper and you can do anything you need to do. Mm-hmm. You can lay in bed and practice your shit at night by meditating. But physically, if you are a person who likes to connect with objects, or you want to have your witchy space, that is a form of physical burnout if you've got blockage. And then the hard one for me would be spiritual burnout. Maybe your conversations with deity are not going the way you want them to. You're not feeling connected with your goddess. This happened for me, you are seeing things that are not in your hula hoop in the YouTube community, and this is my own personal example, that really dismay you. and you kind of take mental and spiritual space from your own practice because of what you're seeing in other people. And you shouldn't, I should never let myself get to there, but you do, we're all kind of empathic people and we get affected by other people's energy.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering, so we've got physical, spiritual, and emotional burnout. I wonder if we've got any other kinds of burnout.
Physical, mental, emotional. I would say spiritual, but I think that's kind of,
So,
and spiritual burnout can come. I've seen it in people who are coven leaders. I've seen it in people who are leaders of any kind, where they feel like, people just pick little pieces of you all the time.
yeah.
For me, the YouTube community has a thing going on right now that I'm probably going to do a rant video on, because it's kind of causing Arwen pre-2009 to pop.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And it's the fake witches thing. I have a real problem with that judgment stuff. So
yeah.
you know me. But for spiritual burnout, and that can sometimes come, for me, it happened when I was getting transferred from one deity to another.
Yes.
And it was, I don't know if it was a mutual, like, I am tired of your shit, girl, go talk to her. Or, I've taught you all I can, I need you to move on. Because I've recently been called back to that original goddess. So, which is an ongoing conversation. But burnout, and people the problem for me with burnout is the exact same thing with depression. When I'm depressed,
Mm-hmm.
I get depressed that I'm depressed.
Yes.
And I get mad at myself, and I get down on myself. And it's a spiral straight down the drain.
I've seen you almost escalate, because here's the thing, your state of being, your normal state of being is joy. You wake up happy to be alive, you stay in joy, you work really hard to seek joy and to help other people seek theirs. So I think when you get sad about things, and I think, it's, you get upset because you can't feel the joy. You really want to, but you don't know how to get there. And I think that conduit back to joy and conduit back to witchery can look very much the same, because people want practical tips. How can I feel re-energized? So let's give them some tips, because
Okay, couple things that I know. What do you do when you get a new crystal? What's one of the things you do?
charge it, cleanse it.
How do you
Yep.
do that?
When I get a crystal and cleanse it, depending on its use, but I often will sage or salt or put it under the moon. It's the physical, spiritual. Sometimes I do physically clean items. If I get something that's dirty, I will mix up a sage water or a Florida water and physically clean it. So that's a great point.
Yeah.
What cleansing is needed? What ick do we have on us?
Yeah. And how do you get rid of the ick? For me, I'm a water sign. Give me a long hot soak in the tub with some beautiful bath salts. I wish I thought to grab it. Back over there is a Ravenflower bath salt back there that I got there in the auction.
Her candle sitting back there, and I want you to know that is going to disappear if I ever come to your house, because her candles are absolutely, all of the things that she makes are beautiful. And as a matter of fact, I got one of her tea lights. I think this was the lemon. I can't remember what scent this was, but we burned this the other night, and this was beautifully done. And she puts like little crystals and stuff in the bottom of them. They're beautiful.
I have, they're back over there too, I think. Yep, I can see them. You see the red candle?
Yep.
Right below them are the 4. They've got garnet chips in them.
Yes, gorgeous stuff. I think that when we are trying to re-energize spiritually, I think we can do a lot of the same things that we would do to cleanse. We can light candles, we can water cleanse, we can sit out under the moon and take a moon bath, we can sage ourselves.
Yeah.
Don't light yourself on fire like a sage stick, but you know what? Spray yourself down with some sage water. Maybe put some sage, in a vase in your bedroom. Clean your space.
What about the smudgeless spray from
From, yes, Witchy Bear, Sage and Salt.
Yeah.
I love that
I
stuff.
haven't
It's
gotten
amazing.
any yet. I'm so bad. I'm trying to
Uh,
set an interview up with him too. So
yeah, that stuff is amazing. It's really, I'm becoming more scent sensitive the older I get, and I used to be a person who bathed in cologne and perfumes. I love smells, clearly from my incense addiction. But that has been a spray that I can deal with. It's not cloying, and the scent of it does not change when you spray. Some things you spray them, they smell nice, and then when they settle, it's like, ooh, cat pee buffet.
I'm
You know,
trying to see where. Hang on, let me go grab it really fast. Is that it? No, but this is something I use a lot. I don't know if you can read it or not. Is it
oh,
backwards?
fluorescence, yes, spontaneous combustion.
Yeah,
Yes.
this stuff is for home use, can be used on body as well. So yeah, I'll use this when I've also got, bitchy spray. I've got all sorts of sprays, and I love light scents. My husband is
Yeah.
very reactive to strong scents. I like instant headache for it.
Yes.
So I try, if I'm gonna burn incense, I burn it early in the day. You know.
Dorothy Morrison has amazing products too. She's got great stuff. She's just a fabulous witch altogether.
I love me some Dorothy.
I do too. She's great. Her books are amazing too. I read, I think it was Utterly Wicked. I think it's called Utterly Wicked, and it's one of my favorites. It's so kitschy, so camp, but it has like great information in it.
Mm-hmm.
She's fabulous.
She's a Texas girl, right?
I kind of wondered about that. She got a little bit of homegirl vibe to her. Mm-hmm.
Yes, she does. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being. I should.
I love the idea of those sprays. I love that. Just to kind of, and you know what? Let's go ahead and agree. I think you'll agree with this. When you're trying to re-energize and get back to a practice or feel spiritual again, that is a process. There's not a switch you can flip.
Right.
There's not a bullet point list you can go down to feel that again. You can go through things, to get to the end where you are like, okay, I'm feeling this again. This is what I want to do. But realize that this takes time sometimes. You guys, I went through burnout. A lot of mine was based around my emotional stuff that was going on, but I was burned out for like 6 solid months.
Yeah.
And I was depressed. I was, seriously depressed, but I just didn't want to do anything. I was just not feeling it. It was all I could do when the blood moon came around to put my water out. It was just like, okay, I wasn't feeling energized by anything. So cleansing was one of the first things I did.
Yeah.
Also, understanding what fatigued you is very helpful. Understand how you got there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to caveat that a little bit, because understanding what got you there is a good thing, but don't keep going back to it. It's not a paper cut, That's my whole, ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Oh, it's not hurting. Ow, that hurts. Stop touching it.
Yes. I think, and that is incredibly good advice, because here's the thing. I think that it's okay to acknowledge and say, okay, this thing happened. I was asking Goddess to give me a new car, and it didn't happen, and I don't feel like I can work with her anymore, and I'm going to turn my back, whatever. And that's a very stupid example, but I'm giving an example. Mm-hmm. So realizing that, okay, I had some resentment, or I felt entitled to something that didn't happen. Oh, look at.
That's Harley. Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. That's she. Oh, is she? She's beautiful.
She thinks so.
Yeah. So I think it's okay to say to ourselves, okay, I asked for this thing. It didn't happen. It's now 6 months later. It's really time for me to move on. Mm-hmm. And just kind of check yourself, basically. If you were going through, someone passed away, or you had to file bankruptcy, or there was a real life thing, you can acknowledge someone passed away. I'm grieving and I'm in mourning, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can acknowledge the thing and still work through it, because acknowledging it doesn't mean you can't ever feel that feeling again. It just means, okay, I'm putting a period on this particular chapter, and we're now going to move along. Mm-hmm. So,
and for those people that get upset and get, you have, going back to the cat, you have a very ill cat, you do magic, you work your magic, you do your prayers, you do whatever it is that your work looks like, and your cat still passes away. We don't know, and I am fully on board with the idea that animals are their own entities. They are fully cognizant. So we
Yes.
don't know what that animal's wishes and desires were.
Right.
We wanted them to stay. It may have been that that was their choice to go at that point.
Right.
We don't know. We can't say, that car. Here's my another big grief that I have with the pagan community. I did a job spell. Awesome. What did you do? I did a job spell. Have you put out any resumes? Nope. Did a job spell.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. You have to do the other side of it.
You do. And I want to acknowledge too with when it comes to pets, because that was one of the things, I went through this publicly on YouTube when Gracie died, my familiar. And I did go through I went through a period of silence after that. I wasn't necessarily spiritually disconnected. I couldn't focus. My familiar was gone.
Yeah.
I full that, and you guys know, like everybody that saw me on YouTube at that time, I was 350 pounds. I think that the reason that Gracie chose to leave me when she did is because she had to save me. Had she not died when she did, I probably wouldn't be here, because I was in stroke territory. I was in heart attack range. My blood pressure was sky high. I had already had a stroke. And I was just, Bacchus, living life to the fullest and eating and drinking and just doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that was the only purpose for her death, because sometimes death doesn't have a purpose. Sometimes animals and people are just ready to leave. But I think that she saved me. And I think that, I think about that so that I don't get as sad, because that was a gift that she gave to me, because I did get really depressed and I changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a diet. I was depressed. I couldn't eat, but I went on a diet and lost a bunch of weight, and I'm here and I am half the size I was. And I know she's so nosy, but I think that sometimes when we go through something traumatic like that, and we're not able to get outside of ourselves or see the bigger picture, it can cause us to step away from our practice, because we just don't understand what the purpose is. I'm now 2 years later and I'm like, oh.
And aren't we almost 2 years? Wasn't it January?
It was actually she died one day before October 30th.
Right.
She died one day before Samhain.
I think January is when I first actually. Something about January and Gracie, though. Something. So I don't remember, but.
I think when you first met her. No, you met her because it was there. It was around your birthday. The first time you met her. Yeah. No, you had a dream about her in January.
Okay.
Because remember, I think I had either called you or written to you that I dreamed I dreamed that I went in my backyard and she was a puppy again. And she was like full-grown Gracie, but she was like a miniature size. And I got to pick her up and hold her. And I remember in the dream, I was like, she looked at me, and in a human voice, she was like, "Mom, I'm okay." And I think I told you, and you're like, well, that's very odd, because I also dreamed about her, and
okay,
she is okay. So yeah, maybe I wouldn't say I was burned out during that time, but I definitely was away from my practice.
Well, and grief causes filters, right? When we're grieving, there are things you don't want to do because you need to be doing self-care. You need to be, this is about me right now.
It is.
When my mom died, God love it, I couldn't have been out leading ritual. I mean, I was a mess. I had no business witching at that point, because I was grieving. And we as people, as humans, grief is natural. When you have Scorpio moon, sun, or rising, sometimes you deal with grief a little bit differently. I have a Scorpio moon. So sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, they're dead. Okay, let's go. Other times it just levels me. But in terms of burnout, I think that grief and burnout, we can kind of confuse them.
I was about to say, I think where you're going, that makes a lot of sense, because I think the way we process burnout is very similar to how we process grief. And I think that sometimes we are grieving for an aspect of our practice and we don't realize it. Because,
good.
for instance, we've been working with one goddess, and then we stop hearing her and stop connecting with her. And so we kind of go into a grief period, and then we feel disconnected. And maybe a new goddess is coming, or maybe she's changing form, or maybe we're going to be able to hear her with a different set of ears. But I think that maybe we grieve for the fact that scrying doesn't work for us anymore. Maybe we're grieving for the fact that we realize that what we once believed is not what we believe anymore. You grieve for different reasons, but I do think that, I'm going to have to think about that one. That one feels spot on for a lot of different things.
You know that I stopped reading tarot for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
It just got to the point where it felt cold. I can't describe it any other way than I would lay the cards out, and I knew what they meant. I knew. I had them memorized. I mean, I know tarot meanings very well. And it was just like, Knight of Wands, action, man of action, get a plan, do it. I had no love for it anymore. And I discovered that I was reading on 1-900 lines at the time. And it was making me feel like a prostitute, and a very cheap one at that. They were charging $5 a minute. I was making pennies on the dollar. So I think that I just felt used up. And when something doesn't give back to me,
right,
snip, snip, snip out of my life. And I have learned that. I'm leaving a lot of Facebook groups right now because I'm really burned out on social media right now.
Me too.
So I'm still using it because there are people who are not. And as a businesswoman, I have to keep that presence going. Otherwise, people are like, where'd Arwen go? Oh, well, let's find somebody else. That's what I feel like. It may not be true.
You just gave a really good tip for how to beat burnout. That whole snip, snip, snip. You've got to excavate the roadblocks with your spirituality and your practice and snip them out of your life. Yeah. What are your roadblocks? And we've talked about decluttering your space. So here's some real tangible stuff. If you've got a person or a job or a situation around you that is just draining you and you're feeling like I don't want to practice because I just got nothing, snip it. I'm not saying go out and quit your job, but maybe you can apply for a transfer or apply for a different job, or maybe figure out a way to not hate your job so much. Take a walk during lunch versus staying at your desk, things like that.
That's really important. I actually just journaled about that and talked about, if you say you're at a soul-sucking job and you keep saying you're at a soul-sucking job, guess what? Your soul is getting sucked big time. So change it.
And that goes for, we can overlay that with spiritual burnout. If you keep saying I'm spiritually burned out, spiritually burned out, spiritually burned out, and you're not doing anything, then it's not going to change. And so when people say, but what do I do? Give me the steps. Well, we've talked about cleansing. We've talked about decluttering and getting some physical action. Here's the next little thing. When you've identified the reason that you got burned out in the first place, maybe what your course of action should be then is figuring out how to practice in a different way.
Yes.
So, for instance, if knowing that every full moon that comes around, you're going to feel kind of like, oh God, I don't want to do ritual tonight. Why are you feeling obligated to do full moon ritual if you don't want to?
Yeah.
Nobody said that you don't have to do that to claim the title of witch. You can actually just mold your practice to what feels good to you. So you don't have to adhere to a schedule. You don't have to read certain books. You don't have to wear yourself out with all of this is what I should be doing that the world tells you. You can actually just decide what you want to do and do that.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the fake witches thing that's going around. People who don't do blah blah aren't witches. People who do blah blah aren't witches. Let me quote you Katie Byron. The only person I need to like me is myself.
Yeah.
Boom. Stop living your life, stop practicing your practice for somebody else's approval.
Yes, because that will wear you out. It will burn you out when you feel like your practice is not even your own. Because let's and I'm going to make a comment on this whole fake witch thing too, because I am certainly guilty of being irritated and annoyed by the way that other people do their witchery. I will hold my hand up and go, "Hi, I'm Ember," and I will fully admit that I find some things absolutely ridiculous. I have a hard time ingesting certain ideas that people have. I have talked very openly about my confusion around mixing Christianity with witchery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. But I've also understood that when I stop putting my energy into trying to understand what other people are doing, or not even understand what they're doing, because I do want to understand, but when I stop putting energy into judging what they're doing and just kind of focus on me, I have more to give myself.
Thank you.
You're allowed to be annoyed. You're totally allowed to be annoyed. You are allowed to grumble to yourself that someone else is an asshole or they're ridiculous. You're allowed to go, okay, I've never heard of having a bottle of ketchup as a goddess, but if that works for you, bully for you. You're allowed to have your feelings, but have your feelings and then practice your own witchcraft. If you don't want a bottle of ketchup as your goddess, don't have one.
I kind of go with the abortion thing, If you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah. You don't want one, don't have one.
Yeah, you don't want...
You don't want to get gay married? If you don't like gay marriage, don't get gay married.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's really, there's so many things that we expend so much of our time, and excuse me, gotta get on my soapbox. If we didn't spend so much time investing in other people's lives on fucking television,
yes,
we could focus on ourselves, but we're being trained like we're some group of Pavlov's dogs.
Yes.
To judge other people by watching reality shows where they judge other people.
Yes.
Honey Boo Boo, the Kardashians, even things like swamp people, swamp boys, swamp men, whatever. Shoot them! Shoot them!
Most of the reality shows are based around that. And you just made me kind of have a light bulb. When I have had the lowest points in my self-esteem and self-worth, it has been when I have been way too wrapped up in what other people thought of me, or too irritated with what other people are doing. And the freest I have ever felt in my life have been the times when I've realized I don't have to give one nugget of shit what anybody thinks about me, because I get to do me. I get to live my life the way I want to. And I do believe in not doing any harm to people, so I do believe in that principle. But I do think that when you wear yourself out trying to adhere to someone else's idea, or competing with them because what they're doing in their life makes you feel bad, or you're buying things because someone told you that it made you worth something, or you're changing your appearance because someone told you that would make you better or whatever, you're going to get burned out, not just spiritually, but in all aspects. You are going to be really unhappy because you're just chasing a carrot that you're never going to catch.
You're trying to be somebody other than yourself.
Yes. And I think that people, witches, women in particular, we're given a lot of messages from the time we're born that we're never going to be good enough. That is the whole premise of marketing 101, is to sell you shit that you don't need, to turn you into a person that you're never going to be. And to basically convince you that you're old, ugly, fat, undesirable, whatever. Buy the products, but just don't eat the bullshit messages up. If you want some face cream, get it, but just don't think you have to have it because it's going to magically transform you into some beauty. You're already beautiful.
Now, true story. I've done that based on you.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me.
No makeup. None. I don't have any stitch on. And I had to talk myself out of being late for the video so I could go run and put makeup on.
Don't need it.
Because I was thinking, well, people are going to look at Ember, and she's so beautiful. She's always got her makeup on point, on fleek, as my Casey says.
On fleek.
And I'm like, and when I put it on, there's this like clownish thing, because you've seen me put makeup on. I wasn't a girly girl when I grew up. I was such a tomboy. And I envy women who can put makeup on. And I know when I put makeup on, or when somebody like my friend Ember puts makeup on me, I look really good. But I have to remember, I have to look at myself and go, you know what? You're okay just the way you are. People are not tuning in to look at your makeup.
Right.
But they do tune in. And when you talk about, I'm wearing Kat Von D, blah, 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 and I'm like, must go buy Kat Von D. We'll look pretty.
I have so been guilty of that myself. I have also done that with you, with looking at the tarot decks, because I will see you do your tarot scopes and talk about, and I'm like, I've got to have that deck because I want to have that connection with those cards that Arwen has. I crave that because it's such a beautiful connection. I crave being able to write like you do.
You write like a dream. God.
No, see, and this is where it gets real with people. I am a writer, but I'm using quotes. But I envy Arwen's writing because she's an amazing writer. She does dialogue better than anybody I know. I cannot write dialogue worth a shit. And so you do get into that whole, not necessarily a comparison thing, but you're like, if I could just harness just a tiny little rice grain of that, then I would be as sparkly as she is. But we do have to remind ourselves, everybody in this world, and this goes for your spiritual practice too, everybody in this world has got their own sparkle. You don't need to go grab somebody else's. You just got to find yours.
Exactly. I mean, I look at the YouTube witches and I'm like, I want to be more like Alvine. I want to be more like Joe Morris. I want to be more like Ember. I want to be more like Lady Gravedancer. I mean, there's so many amazing. I'd say I want to be more like Witchy Bear, but I can't do the beard. And we do. When I was a baby witch, I actually wrote something. I may have done a video where I read what I wrote, but it's about, I wanted to be Margot Adler, Shoshana Budapest, and Margot Weinstein. Can't. They're already them, and they're doing it splendidly.
They are, and this is the time when we have to remind ourselves that as much as you, and I too, like I used to watch Tiptoe Chicks videos when I first got on, and I'd be like, oh my God, I want to be just like her. You can't be her because she's the only one of her. Thank goodness, because hello, the world would probably implode if there was more than one of her. She's fabulous. But as many times as we look at somebody else and go, oh my God, I want to be like them, there's somebody out there looking at us going, I want to be like them. And they're talking. And so Arwen, that's a thing. Like Witchy Bear is probably sitting at home and going, I want to be more like Arwen. Tequila may be saying, I want to be more like Arwen. Like, we have to remember that as much as we want to be someone else sometimes or have their sparkle, there's always somebody that they want what we have.
Yeah.
Because our shit is special and people can see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, this is kind of a going way out here to get back to the point, but when it comes to revving back into our spirituality, I think that is really helpful. I think it's really helpful to watch YouTube videos and read people and immerse yourself in people who are really self-actualized and who make space for you to be you.
Yeah.
You're a great example of that. Joey Morris is a great example. Like pretty much all of like the witches who have lots of subscribers, they're witches who really respect the way that other people do their thing. They have room for that. They're not trying to be cult leaders and force people to go through their conduit to get to witchery. They're just like, no, you do you, and I'm going to do me, and let's compare notes.
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful when you're in a slump to get back into things by, get some of that energy and harness a little bit of it for yourself. Watch other people who are in their joy and who are in their power. Oh my God. Molly Herspeak put a video up. I think it was today.
Ooh, I haven't seen it.
It was a reading that she did about witchery, and she basically said, I am in my power when these things happen. And I'm going to add one. I don't know if Molly will see this, but one of the things I'll say is I am in my power when I am accepting other people's sparkle and seeing my own. That's powerful. And it can help kind of raise your energy around yourself when you're like, yeah, these women know their power. I'm going to know mine too. You
Well,
know?
in a way, it's like going to church, right?
Yes.
If you've ever been, and I was never in any kind of evangelical church, but I have friends who were, and one of them, we were very close. Rose and I were, I wish I could get in touch with her again, because she knew I was a witch. I knew she was an evangelical Christian, not just a Christian, but a self-proclaimed Bible thumper. And we had the most interesting, intimate talks about faith.
Mm.
And I could see her sometimes, she'd be kind of slumping on Friday. And I knew that after Sunday, boom, she'd be back on it, man. She'd have that energy back. And so,
You have to go drink from the well.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Sometimes you need to go out there. Sometimes I go out and I watch an Ember video, or I watch, tequila, or I try to catch sunshine.
Oh my God, if I'm having a shitty day, I can put on, I'll try to find a really meaty, beefy, long video from one of my favorite witches. I have watched, there is one video of tequilas. I bet I have watched it 5 times. And it was one of her older videos when she lived in her old house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just showing off her witchy supplies in her room. And it was the room, I think she had purple carpet in there. I'm not positive, but it was her bedroom and she had all of her supplies around. And I bet I've watched that video 5 times because I just was so delighted by, I think that it takes a huge level of humility to allow people into your personal bedroom space on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think it was very generous of her to go and show all of her items. I've watched that video. If I'm having a crappy day, I can watch that video, or I can watch Molly or one of yours, and I can just feel connected again, and feel that joy that I first felt when I first discovered all these amazing witches.
Mm-hmm.
So,
now, do you watch Roller Derby Witch?
No.
You gotta go watch her.
Look, I'm grabbing my phone to add as we speak. I'm always looking for new witches to watch.
Yeah, she doesn't do a lot of videos, but I really like her energy. I enjoy her. She did a rant video that was kind of like, but I enjoy her energy. She just makes me feel happy, and I don't know, even when she's not talking about happy stuff, I just get a good feeling. Same with Molly. And Molly, good God, Molly, you could read the frickin' phone book, and your voice, I would just go,
she's amazing.
Okay, read me some more, Molly. Because you do have, and you have that sexy, sexy voice. But, it's just, I think that the burnout concept, filling, what, you found her?
I think, yeah, but you know what? She took her videos down. I subscribed to her. No, there we go. I found her. Yeah, I am subscribed to her. I don't know why I thought her name was something else. I am sub to her.
Yeah, she hasn't been doing a lot. She's just kind of, I think, getting back into it. But y'all should stop by and just say hi to her and get her revved up for it. But I think that burnout, fill your well up and choose. Here's really important to me. Pick wisely.
Yes.
What you're filling your well back up with. If you're going to fill, it's just like when you're hungry, right? Are you going to eat Twinkies?
Or get something nutritious?
Or are you going to eat almonds? Both are snack items.
Mm-hmm.
So
they both taste good.
Right? But
one's going to feed your soul.
And one's going to leave you feeling a little empty and a little sugar crashy.
And a little sick at the end.
Right?
Yeah. One is a quick fix. One's going to stay with you.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that, oh, hello, babe. Look at those eyes. Oh, an old soul.
I'm waiting for her to bite me because she's mad.
She's an old soul. I love that too. One of the things that I've been doing is, I stopped working on my grimoire, for about 6 months while I was burned out. I didn't really touch it. I don't like to work on it in a certain headspace. I like to be chipper and joyful. But one of the things I've been doing lately is I have been gathering things and keeping a list of what I would like to do when my energy toward my grimoire returns. And I feel it revving up. I can feel it coming back because I'm clipping more articles and taking more notes and my little folder that I keep everything in. So here's the thing. Here's another little piece of advice. If you're burned out and you're just not feeling it, you're still going to see things or read things or experience things that you're like, oh, if I only had the energy, I would do that.
Yeah.
You know what? Get a pencil and a piece of paper and write it down and make a list for yourself of things you will do when your energy returns. Because here's the deal. Just by doing that, you are setting intention. You're setting intention of, okay, when my energy comes back, I'd like to do these things. You will find yourself getting a little more energized as your list grows. You'll find yourself maybe gathering supplies and looking for things to make that happen. And one day you will find yourself sitting at your MacBook like I did and designing a tarot card because you told yourself you would. And you're in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm feeling this project again. Or you'll find yourself writing, or you'll find yourself painting or doing something. So just make a list. You don't have to do it right now. You don't even ever have to do it, but set some intention by making your list.
And here's the thing, guys. Burnout is not those times when you think, oh, I just want to snuggle on the couch and maybe read a good book and drink a cup of tea.
Oh, sorry. Someone is messaging me.
It's like, who's that? But it's because we all have cycles and seasons. Some of us do better in the summer. Some of us do better in the winter. Some of us are morning people. Some of us are night people. Sometimes you get knocked out of what your prime creative space, personal energy space is. Don't get frustrated. Don't get freaked out. It's gonna happen. It's cycles. That's why witches do the wheel of the year. That's why we have moon cycles. It's cycles. The moon isn't always full, baby.
You know what? I think that's a fantastic reminder, because it also reminds us that it's not going to last forever. It may last a long time. It may last months. I know people that have been, they'll go through spiritual burnout that last a year or two. And then all of a sudden one day there'll be a new book that they're dying to read, and they'll read that book, and next thing you know, they are on fire.
Yeah.
And Arwen, I think you talked about this, I think, on one of our Witchy Women chats a while back, about how you had kind of experienced a lull, and then when you got on YouTube, it really kind of lit you up again. Like, new projects, new ways of witching. You tried something different, and even if you have periods of time where you're like, I don't know if that's going to be for me, that I don't know how I feel about that. Take a chance, even if it's something that you're not really sure about. Just take a chance and do it a couple of times and see how it feels.
Yeah.
And
variety is the spice of life. For me, what fires me up is teaching. This feels in a way that we're teaching. I'm learning from you. You're learning from each other. We're sharing with the wider group. People leave comments and we learn from them.
Yes.
It's just all in all for me. That's what works for me. I like the connection. I think, have I told you the fox versus the prairie dog?
No.
Foxes and prairie dogs are you can be one or the other. And sometimes you're one and then you go to the other. Prairie dogs are colony animals. They like other prairie dogs. They intercommunicate with other prairie dogs. They have lots of prairie dog potlucks. Foxes don't. They like to be solo for the most part. They're very rarely in little fox, coffee clubs. They don't have fox book reading clubs. They're just foxes.
Yeah.
And I am much more of a prairie dog personality. I like the interaction. So, and that's what feeds me. That's where I'm a psychic vampire. Suck.
But you know what? You were talking earlier about how social media out, and so this is a great example of that. You're not always a prairie dog, because sometimes you're like, okay, I've had a little much of this. I'm going to have to go into fox mode in that particular aspect. Yeah. I'm going to retreat from that and kind of do my own thing for a little bit. That's a really good way to think about it, because I love to interact with people. But when it comes to my time off camera, I tend to be a fox. I tend to keep to myself. I am shitty sometimes with maintaining friendships. And there have been, I've experienced people being frustrated with me because I'm not a person that you're going to hear from every day. I'm not going to talk to you on the phone every day or even every week. You and I have gone months without talking on the phone, and it's fine. We've gone months without text. We just know we're there.
Yeah.
It's the presence. And so sometimes it's okay to go, to vacillate between those. Sometimes you're a puppy dog. You're feeling more social. So, yeah, I'd love to hear other people's ideas on what they've done to come out of their rut. Was it a book that did it? Was it a new way of practicing? Was it adding exercise to your witchery? Was it, maybe getting a little more communal and talking to more people? I'd love to hear other people's ideas.
I would too. And I'm going to kind of get us to wrap it up because we're actually almost at an hour. And, Arwen, kind of anal around the time thing.
Arwen is anal. Y'all heard that here first.
Can I see that on camera? We'll see that later. But yeah, talk to us and tell us, what do you do for burnout? For me, here's something I just learned. Let me see if I can make her do it. Echo, play Pandora. Echo, 1, 3. Gardner is dead now. She died, from breast cancer a while. She was breast cancer, but it was cancer. She is an amazing artist, and I'm not a music person. Most people that know me know that I don't really like music. Just to listen to. I can't know what's playing. Echo, Volume 5. That's not. But anyway, and so that's what do me for witch work is music of a particular nature. Many people would call it wallpaper music. She's texting somebody, y'all.
I just wrote that down in my little notepad because I wanted to be able to remember that. I use Spotify, and you know what? Music is a great way to kind of get yourself recharged. I use Spotify, and I actually found a fantastic. There are 2 lists that I use. I actually use them not just when I'm feeling witchy. They're just wonderful. One of them is called Witch House, and it's got a little symbols, like you'll have to just look for it, but it's there's 78 songs on it. More of the trance, digitized, it's just trance, and it's great for meditation. Favorite. This person made a playlist. Emma Burns, her name, 53 songs. They're all witch songs. Witching Hour. Just to give you an example, and by Fleetwood Mac, of course. Machine, Burn the Witch, Queens of the New Stone Age, Me and the. All of the songs on here are very, very witchy. They're very, one called Eyes on You. And he doesn't have any of the. He doesn't. Celtic woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of that, and she, it's all kind of current stuff.
Oh, and you're thinking of
red hair.
The
I have to be that type of, but when I'm not feeling car, and it's that figure it doesn't have to be. You're gonna find that if you one life,
very good. as we get um, to do now,
Uh, what I would give the and Arwen and Facebook announce